Top Gun: Maverick, released in 2022 and directed by Joseph Kosinski, serves as a sequel set 30 years after the original Top Gun from 1986. This is possibly the best sequel I have ever seen for so many reasons, but let's stick to the point. A thematic analysis. Our protagonist, U.S. Navy Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell, pushes a stealth jet to Mach 10.3 against orders. It explodes and he dies, having become the fastest man alive. The end. No, he lives. Rear Admiral Kane arrives and orders Maverick to return to Top Gun to teach on a special assignment from his longtime friend, Admiral Tom Iceman Kosinski. A dozen first-in-class Top Gun graduates assemble to train for the most dangerous and challenging mission yet. Bomb run an enemy unsanctioned uranium enrichment plant before it becomes operational in 3 weeks. Maverick begins to train the pilots, including Lieutenant Bradley Rooster Bradshaw, the son of his deceased wingman Goose. Maverick consistently beats the pilots with his tactics in the training and almost gets fired by Kane for breaking the rules. He reunites with his old girlfriend Penny at her bar. Iceman encourages Maverick in a touching scene. Maverick is appointed mission lead after stealing a fighter jet and proving the mission can be flown. After weeks of intensive training, the mission day arrives. Will they succeed against all odds? The external conflict is against an unspecified enemy country, and the physical and mental toll of flying combat. However, the main conflict, the interpersonal one, is the relationship between Maverick and Rooster. There is conflict between Admiral Kane, who wants to stick to the safe, known rules, and Maverick, who wants to push those rules. He plans and performs daring maneuvers and pushes the aircraft's and pilots' limits to succeed and survive the mission. While he still displays the spirit that earned him his call sign, Maverick is no longer as cavalier as he was in the first film, but he's still quite confident. Hangman serves as the cocky youth to contrast this. Rooster is the timid youth who holds back. We see how these attitudes play against each other and the pitfalls of each. While this is not a Christian film, it displays connections to themes found in the Bible. The pilots start out unsure of each other. There is tension and conflict, of course. Pete strives to make them see they must work together. Only then will they survive. During training, Pete takes the crew to the beach to play dogfight football. He explains, it's offense and defense at the same time. We see characters who rubbed against each other playing together and having a great time. Brewster, who has beef with Mav, sets that aside during the game. The group lifts up Bob, the underdog of the group. The mission is impossible alone, but as a team of Navy forces, they succeed. As you have probably heard before, this also applies to life. Their camaraderie shines as an example of, all of you should be of one mind. Sympathize with each other. Love each other as brothers and sisters. Be tender-hearted and keep a humble attitude. I wouldn't call Top Gun Maverick a war movie, but it does deal with the theme of accepting the extreme risk for one's country and wingmates. By serving in the Navy, those characters have dedicated their lives to protecting their homeland. Admiral Kane accepts the fact that the 6 pilots on the mission will probably die, but Pete pushes for them to come home safely. In the climactic battle, we see an example of there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. But there's a twist to it. It takes some understanding of the backstory for this to really hit. So, in Top Gun 1, Maverick flies with Goose, who dies in combat when his ejection seat fails, leaving behind his wife and young son, Bradley Rooster, who follows in his father's footsteps and blames Pete for his father's death. In this film, Maverick tries to be a surrogate father but feels he is failing. Rooster resents Maverick for pulling his papers to the Naval Academy, essentially setting back his career, because his mother is afraid he too will die, so she has Pete try to stop him from flying. And Hangman annoys Rooster, asking what his problem with Mav is. Rooster and Mav get into a fight during a training session. Their aerial standoff almost kills both men. It is after this scene that Mav reveals why he pulled Rooster's papers, but he's still mad. Mav visits Iceman, who advises him about this situation. It's time to let go. He responds, I don't know how. Iceman gives Mav a vote of confidence, and it's just such a touching scene. On a date, basically, with Penny, Pete asks how she has grown so close with her daughter, Amelia. She responds, "She always wanted more freedom than I thought she was ready for. I guess I realized I also had to trust her." There's a parallel here. That kind of relationship is what Pete wants with Rooster, but they are many steps behind. Pete cannot keep protecting him and holding back his confidence. So, before the mission, Mav chooses Rooster as his wingman in an attempt to demonstrate trust and repair their relationship. In the chaos of battle, Mav's ship is shot down, and he's assumed dead. Against orders, Rooster goes back to save him, only to be shot down himself. The two men are stranded in enemy territory. But instead of being thankful, Mav reprimands Rooster for risking himself to come back and essentially negating his sacrifice. Rooster explains, "It's what my dad would have done." And they ain't dead yet, so that's good. The two men work together to formulate and execute an escape plan. They fly an old jet from the Cold War, which miraculously works. Rooster must trust Mav from the back seat. When caught in a one-sided dogfight, Mav's focus is on saving Rooster via the ejection seat, which doesn't work. Hangman, who was on standby, flies in and shoots down the enemy plane, saving the day. I know that's more of a plot summary, but here's the point. When the crew celebrates back on deck, Rooster and Mav have found the beginning of a renewed relationship of mutual trust and respect. Top Gun Maverick shows that even when someone hates you, you should still give your all to love them. Often the mentality is to help those who help you and leave everyone else in the dust. But God desires us to pursue forgiveness and peace. I've never, and probably never will, flown a fighter jet or served in the armed forces, but I have been part of theater casts and film crews. The premise of a group of people with common skills, but different backgrounds and personalities, striving together to accomplish a seemingly impossible task, that resonates. Also, my father served in the Air Force for 20 years. Even though he did office jobs, it still took dedication and sacrifice of his time and energy. So when I see movies about military service, I can't really explain, but it just reminds me of seeing that from the outside and just the deep respect I have for the real life people who put their lives on the line. Top Gun Maverick shines as one of the best blockbusters of all time. It improves upon the original in so many ways. It carries over themes and builds on characters. It inspires us and prompts us to consider how far we are willing to go for our wingmates. Be humble, inspire confidence, and it's not the plane, it's the pilot.